These are 20 cheap British meals that fed entire families for under a quid. And number 3 came with bullet peas and coloured powder that turned boiling water into foreign adventure. Number 4 was 100% horse meat disguised as beef, costing the industry £850 million. And number 1? When it vanished from school dinners, mothers were literally spat at in the street. Those of us who remember when the freezer was infrastructure, not aspiration, when 25 pence bought dinner and dignity, when feeding your family from tins wasn't failure but survival, this one's for you. Number 20, Heinz Spaghetti, the orange circle of trust, that distinctive tin with the Keystone logo, the way the pasta came out in one solid cylinder before you stirred it, orange sauce that stained the bowl and somehow tasted nothing like Italy but everything like childhood, 6 pence in 1969 for a 15 3/4 ounce tin. Tesco, the corner shop, literally any shop in Britain. Heinz made it alongside alphabeti spaghetti, and spaghetti with sausages. You ate it on toast, cold from the tin if mum wasn't looking, stirred into the beans for the advanced palates who understood fusion cuisine before it had a name. Some legends microwaved it until the sauce went crusty round the edges. That was living. 15 million tins sold annually at peak. Heinz Spaghetti fed Britain when fresh pasta meant egg noodles and Italian food was exotic. Today, it's £2.50 per tin. Still in supermarkets, still orange, still nothing like Italy. What we lost wasn't just cheap pasta. We lost food that required no refrigeration, created no waste, and asked nothing of exhausted parents except a tin opener and 3 minutes. But at least spaghetti was instant. Number 19 required actual cooking and a degree in mechanical engineering. Number 19, Fray Bentos pies, the ring pull prophecy. That distinctive tin with the ring pull that always broke before the lid came off properly. The way you had to peel it back in sections, fighting metal and physics. Then 40 minutes in the oven while the pastry rose like a lid, trying to escape its meat prison. 16 to 17 pence in 1969 for a 15.5 ounce steak and kidney. The brand started making pies in 1958. By the 1970s, heavy TV advertising made them ubiquitous. Every family had one in the cupboard for emergencies. You served it with instant mash and tinned peas. The pastry was always slightly underdone or completely cremated, no middle ground. The gravy was thick enough to stand your fork in. The meat was there, chewy, substantial, proper filling. Peak popularity during the 1970s and 1980s. The brand survived multiple owners and a 2018 scandal when they reduced the meat content and customers revolted. Baxter's apologised, added 66% more meat. COVID lockdowns boosted sales 29% as families returned to shelf-stable comfort. Current price is £2.25 to £3.40 per tin, still sold. Still requiring 40 minutes and a degree in mechanical engineering to open. What we lost wasn't just convenient pies. We lost food that waited patiently in the cupboard, demanding nothing until you needed it, that never went off, that never judged you for being too tired to cook properly. But while Fray Bentos required patience, number 18 was instant Italian fantasy. Number 18, Heinz ravioli, the crimped square compromise. Those little crimped squares of mushy meat in orange sauce. 14% beef formed into pasta pillows that were simultaneously too soft and too chewy. The way they came out, the tin already looking defeated. Launched in 1965, probably around 5 to 6 pence per tin, similar to the spaghetti, part of Heinz's tinned pasta range alongside macaroni cheese and spaghetti bolognese. You ate it cold from the tin, on toast, on crumpets, school dinner staple. The pasta was rubbery, the beef filling was gritty, but you ate it anyway because it was there and it was cheap. Current price, £2 per tin, still sold everywhere. Reviews split between childhood memory and never again. What we lost wasn't just tinned Italian food. We lost the belief that 14% beef was close enough. that convenience and authenticity could coexist in crimped squares, swimming in orange sauce, but at least ravioli pretended to be proper food. Number 17 delivered instant gratification. Number 17. Pot noodle. The cardboard kettle. Curry. That squat plastic pot with the foil lid. The way the dehydrated vegetables looked like aquarium gravel. The smell when you added boiling water. Part curry, part chemicals. Pure British student survival. 25 pence in 1977 when Golden Wonder launched it. Chicken and mushroom, beef and tomato, original curry. The factory moved to Crumlin, Wales in 1979, where it still operates today. You ate it at 2 a.m. when drunk. Between shifts, during revision, the noodles were never quite cooked and somehow simultaneously mushy. You'd drink the remaining broth like soup, ingesting enough sodium to preserve a medieval corpse. 175 million pots produced annually. 5 eaten every second in Britain. By 1995, Best Foods paid $280 million for the brand. That's how valuable instant noodles in plastic pots became to the British economy. Today, they're $1 to $2.50, depending on variety. Reformulated with less salt after health campaigners complained. Still sold everywhere, still eaten at 2 a.m. What we lost wasn't just cheap noodles. We lost food designed for people with no kitchen, no time, and no shame about eating directly from packaging with a tiny plastic fork that would snap if you looked at it wrong. But if you think that was working class pragmatism, number 16 took it further. Number 16, Super Noodles, the saucepan speed run. Those rectangular packets with noodle blocks that looked like birds' nests made by an architect. The flavour sachet that turned water into something approximating food. The way you always added too much water and ended up with noodle soup instead of noodle dish. Launched nationally August 20th, 1979 by Kellogg's. No historical price survives, but by 2011 they were 69 pence. You bought them from anywhere, made them in a saucepan, drained them slightly, added the powder, pretended you'd cooked. Kids made them after school before mum got home. Students made them at 3 a.m. Shift workers made them between jobs. 3 minutes aspiration. No thought required. Filling enough to stop hunger, cheap enough to not matter. The brand launched a Super Noodles to go cup format in 2017 that sold 13 million units. They reformulated to reduce salt like everyone else. Still sold everywhere. Still 3 minutes from packet to plate. What we lost wasn't just quick noodles. We lost food that trusted us to make it ourselves without supervision, instruction or judgment. That a 10-year-old could cook safely while waiting for mum to finish her second shift. Speaking of instant transformation, number 15 turned water into dessert. Number 15. Angel Delight. The powder that became memories. That paper packet in lurid colours, the way the powder puffed up when you added milk. Whisking it with a fork because who owned proper whisks? The gradual thickening from liquid to mousse while you watched, waiting, impatient for sugar. 6 pence per packet in 1969. Each packet made 4 portions. Strawberries and cream launched first in 1967. Then the range exploded. Raspberry, mint chocolate, butterscotch, banana, chocolate, lime, orange, even coffee and tea flavours that existed briefly before Britain collectively decided that was too far. You ate it immediately, still slightly liquid. You put it in the fridge for later, and it set like wallpaper paste. You fought your siblings over who got the bowl to lick. 15 different flavours meant 15 different arguments. 15 million pouches sold annually by 2006. Britain's best-selling instant cold dessert. A 2015 Food Network survey named it Britain's favourite childhood dish. Not favourite dessert, favourite dish. That's how deep this ran. Current price is around a quid. Still sold, still whisked with milk. Still lurid. What we lost wasn't just instant pudding. We lost dessert that cost less than the milk you mixed it with, that every family could afford, that didn't require ovens or skills or time. Pudding as a basic right, not a luxury. But while Angel Delight was pure joy, number 14 had identity issues. Number 14. Smash. The Martian potato conspiracy. Those cardboard drums, filled with potato flakes that looked like fish food. The way you added boiling water and watched dried fragments become something approximating mash. The texture that was never quite right, but also never quite wrong. Launched in the 1960s by Cadbury. No historical prices survive, but today it's $3.69 for 360 grams. The 1974 Smash Martians advertising campaign, aliens laughing at humans who peel potatoes with their metal knives, was voted TV ad of the century. You ate it with everything: sausages, burgers, fish fingers. It accepted all gravy without complaint. Some families used it exclusively. Others used it when proper potatoes seemed like too much effort after a double shift. 74% market share at peak. 140 million servings annually in the UK today. The product that made Martians laugh at British culinary tradition became British culinary tradition, still sold, still instant, still defended by people who claim you can't taste the difference, while absolutely being able to taste the difference. What we lost wasn't just instant mash. We lost food that openly admitted it was a shortcut and didn't apologise, that celebrated convenience instead of hiding it, that said, yes, this is fake, and yes, it's good enough. But at least Smash was upfront about being fake. Number 13 lived in beautiful denial. Number 13, Spam fritters, the battered identity crisis. That pink rectangular block of processed meat, sliced thick, dipped in batter that was mostly air and optimism, deep fried until the outside was crispy and the inside was spam, still recognisably, undeniably spam. Approximately 25 pence from chip shops in the 1970s, school dinner staple throughout the 1960s and 70s. Spam arrived in 1941 as American wartime aid and never left. We just kept finding new ways to disguise it. You ate them with chips, obviously. The batter would separate from the spam, creating a hollow, crispy shell with meat rattling inside like a savoury surprise egg. Some people loved this, others found it existentially troubling. Peak popularity, 1950s to 1970s. By 2006, Iceland started selling frozen branded spam fritters for £1.99 for 4. Currently $1.98 to $2.70. Still sold in some chip shops for people who want their processed meat to pass through additional processes before consumption. What we lost wasn't just fried spam. We lost the confidence to take something cheap and make it cheaper, then serve it without shame, because it filled bellies, and that's what mattered in a world where not wasting was survival. Speaking of chip shop culture, number 12 wasn't just food. Number 12, fish and chips. The social infrastructure in newspaper. That newspaper-wrapped parcel before health and safety ruined it, steaming, leaking vinegar, leaving grease stains on your lap. The way the chips at the bottom were soggy from steam, but you ate them anyway because wasting was unthinkable. 50 pence to a quid for a family meal in the 1970s. Friday night ritual. The government kept fish and chips off rationing during both world wars because cabinet meetings noted it was vital to keep families on the home front in good heart. You walked there with siblings, waited in the warm, steamy shop, carried the bundle home ceremonially, unwrapped it on the kitchen table, added more vinegar, more salt, ate with your fingers because plates diminished the experience. At the 1930s peak, 35,000 chip shops operated across Britain, serving 26 million portions weekly. George Orwell in 1937 identified fish and chips as the principal home comfort, preventing the working classes from going hungry. Today, 10,500 shops remain. Prices range from £6 to £10 per portion. The chippy is no longer infrastructure. It's a treat, an occasional indulgence. What we lost wasn't just cheap fish. We lost community gathering spaces where everyone was equal because everyone was skint, where everyone ate the same thing, where the chippy knew your family and your order and cared when someone was missing. But while chip shops fed communities, number 11 fed the reality TV generation. Number 11. Bird's eye, fish fingers, the orange crumb constant, Those rectangular blocks of processed fish in industrial orange breadcrumbs. The way they never quite cooked evenly. Burnt ends, frozen middles. The ketchup was mandatory, not optional, because let's be honest about what we're eating here. Launched in 1955, by the early 1970s, consumed in 70% of British homes. 15 billion sold since launch. You bought them from everywhere, stored them in the freezer that 97% of families owned by 1995. You made them for tea when mum worked late, between bread for fish finger sandwiches, with beans, with chips, with both if it was someone's birthday. The meal that required zero skill and delivered maximum safety for children cooking unsupervised. Today, 14,000 tons consumed annually. Britain's #1 frozen food brand, Bird's Eye Arctic Roll, sold more than 25 miles monthly during the 1980s. Different product, same company, same place in the national consciousness. Current price varies, but roughly £3 for a box. Still orange, still rectangular, still requiring ketchup. What we lost wasn't just frozen fish. We lost food so reliable that mothers trusted 10-year-olds to cook dinner, so consistent that it never disappointed, so cheap that waste didn't mean catastrophe. Food that freed working mothers without judging them. But if you think fish fingers were uninspiring, number 10 will remind you that boredom has its place. Number 10. Heinz baked beans, the orange constant. That turquoise tin with the keystone. The way the beans came out in one solid lump of sauce before you stirred them. The sauce that was simultaneously too sweet and too savoury, and somehow exactly right. 6 to 7 pence for a 16-ounce can in 1969 at Tesco. 12.5 pence by 1977. You ate them on toast, with everything. For breakfast, dinner and tea, if times were properly hard. You ate them cold from the tin when camping or skint. You added cheese, you added sausages. You added Worcestershire sauce if you were fancy. The meal that required 1 saucepan and 2 minutes thinking time. Heinz sold beans alongside every pasta variation imaginable. Alphabetti spaghetti, ravioli, macaroni cheese. These products required no refrigeration, created no waste risk, fed children quickly. Today, 1-to-1 30 per 415-gram tin. Massive inflation, but still household staples. Still sold everywhere. Still orange. What we lost wasn't just cheap beans. We lost food that existed in every cupboard, that could be mixed with anything, that never went off, that asked nothing except a tin opener and hunger. Food as infrastructure. And that's us halfway through. 10 meals down, 10 to go. And trust me, the best ones are still coming. Number 4 will make you question everything you thought you knew about frozen food and its ingredients. Number 3 has those infamous bullet peas. And number 1, that's where it gets personal. But before we get there, number 9 wanted desperately to be sophisticated. Number 9, Vesta chow mein, the crispy noodle delusion. Dehydrated noodles that came in a block like compressed hay. Soy sauce powder that turned water brown. Bamboo shoots that tasted of nothing. Crispy noodles on top that were the only honest part of the meal. They were crispy, at least that was true. Part of the Vesta range at roughly 20 pence in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Bird's company made them. You bought them to prove your family was modern, international, sophisticated. You followed the instructions precisely because this was foreign food, and foreign food had rules. Added water, waited, topped with crispy noodles. Served it like you understood Chinese cuisine, when the closest you'd been to China was the takeaway on the high street. Vesta sold millions during peak popularity. The chow mein survived while paella, risotto and chicken supreme vanished. Currently sold online, primarily to nostalgic middle-aged people willing to pay £2 to £3 for memories. What we lost wasn't just fake Chinese food. We lost the optimism that we could experience other cultures from a cardboard box, that the world was accessible if you could afford 20 pence. That aspiration came in packets. But while Vesta pretended to be foreign, number 8 was defiantly, impossibly British. Number 8, Arctic Roll, the frozen spiral prophecy. that white and red spiral log from the freezer, the way the sponge was somehow both dry and soggy simultaneously, the jam layer that was never quite raspberry and never quite strawberry, the ice cream centre that was rock solid until suddenly it wasn't. Bird's Eye made them from the 1950s onwards. No specific historical prices survive, but positioned as affordable family dessert. During the 1980s, more than 25 miles of Arctic roll were sold monthly. 25 miles. That's how much Britain needed spiraled frozen disappointment. You served it at birthday parties, after Sunday dinner, when guests came over and you needed to prove you had a freezer. Sliced with a knife that wouldn't cut it. Waited 10 minutes for it to defrost enough to be edible. Ate it anyway. The product embodied everything about frozen convenience food. Impressive presentation, mediocre reality, but consistent enough that families kept buying it. Birthday parties weren't complete without that distinctive spiral sitting sadly on paper plates, still sold today in supermarkets. Current price around $2.50 for a basic version. The modern versions have allegedly better ice cream and sponge, but nostalgia insists the old ones were better, even though we all know they weren't. What we lost wasn't just a frozen dessert. We lost the era when impressive meant came from a freezer, when serving something that required defrosting was sophistication, when presentation mattered more than taste because times were hard and appearance was hope. But at least Arctic Roll knew it was frozen rubbish. Number 7? That's where things got criminal. Number 7. Findus Crispy Pancakes, the innocent casualty. Those triangular frozen parcels in bright packaging. The way the filling was molten lava while the outside remained frozen. Minced beef, cheddar cheese, chicken and mushroom. Flavours that promised safety and delivered scalded tongues. Launched around 1970. A pack of 4 pancakes fed a family cheaply. Exact prices aren't preserved, but they were positioned as budget essentials. By the 1980s to 90s, multiple sources called them the staple of most family dinners. You cooked them under the grill, in the oven. Some maniacs microwaved them. The filling escaped through cracks, cementing itself to the baking tray. You ate them anyway because waste wasn't an option. They were reliable, consistent. Every tea time for millions of families. Then 2013. The horsemeat scandal hit their lasagne. Not the pancakes, but the damage was done. When the Findus name became synonymous with betrayal, everything with that logo had to go. The pancakes weren't contaminated, they were just guilty by association. Discontinued 2002, briefly returned 2016, then vanished again as the Findus brand collapsed. Bird's Eye relaunched Crispy Pancakes in 2019 under their own brand. Same parent company, different name, desperate distance from the scandal. Current price, $1.75 to $1.95 per pack. What we lost wasn't just triangular pancakes. We lost the understanding that one scandal could destroy decades of trust, that working-class staples could vanish overnight because a completely different product in the same range betrayed us. The pancakes did nothing wrong, but they died anyway. But while Findus betrayed us accidentally, number 6 made learning delicious. Number 6, alphabeti spaghetti. When dinner was a spelling test, those tiny pasta letters floating in orange sauce, the way you'd spell rude words before eating the evidence. ABC, swimming in tomato liquid that stained everything it touched. Sold by Heinz for 60 years until discontinued in 1990. Probably around 5 to 6 pence per tin in the late 1960s, similar price point to regular spaghetti hoops, part of Heinz's empire of tinned pasta that fed Britain's children. You'd spell your name, spell B-U-M and giggle. Try to spell the longest word possible before the letters got too soggy. Teachers claimed it helped with literacy. Parents knew it was just cheap food that kept kids quiet for 10 minutes. The letters were small enough to eat by the spoonful. The sauce was thin. The pasta had that distinctive tinned texture. Not quite al dente, not quite mouche. Educational and disappointing in equal measure. Discontinued in 1990 after 60 years. returned in 2005 to counter falling rates of literacy, as if pasta shapes could fix what underfunded schools couldn't. Now sold with numberetti, for kids who need their maths taught by tinned food. What we lost wasn't just alphabet pasta. We lost the idea that dinner could be playful without being educational, that food for children didn't need to teach them anything except that someone fed them. Speaking of society's failures, number 5 revealed the ugly truth about budget food. Number 5. Tesco value burgers. The 29% betrayal. Those blue and white striped packets that screamed poverty at the checkout. 8 frozen burgers that were technically beef. Grey, not brown, thin as paper. The smell when they cooked was concerning. Tesco Value launched in 1993 during the supermarket price wars. Baked beans for 3 pence a tin, bread for 7 pence a loaf. The burgers were positioned as great value for families and sold by the millions throughout the 1990s and 2000s. You cooked them under the grill because the microwave made them worse, which seemed impossible. They'd shrink to half their size, release mysterious liquid. The kids ate them in buns with enough ketchup to hide the taste. Budget night was burger night. Then, January 2013. The horsemeat scandal hit. Testing revealed 29.1% horsemeat in Tesco Value burgers, not contamination, substitution. Then, February 2013, some everyday value spaghetti bolognese was 60% horsemeat. Prime Minister David Cameron called it unacceptable. Tesco withdrew 26 products. The range was rebranded Everyday Value in 2012, then slowly phased out from 2016 onwards, replaced by tertiary brands like Stockwell and Company that didn't look quite so obviously poor. What we lost wasn't just cheap burgers. We lost the last illusion that budget products for working families contained what the label said, that the complex supply chains, prioritizing cost over safety, wouldn't sacrifice the people who could afford nothing better. But while Tesco Value was revealed fraud, number 4 was honest exploitation. Number 4. Findus beef lasagne. The 100% substitution. That plastic tray with the film lid. The layers you could see through the plastic. Pasta, meat sauce, cheese. The way it bubbled in the oven, promising Italian comfort. Delivered horsemeat conspiracy. Positioned as affordable family meal throughout the 1990s to 2000s. Findus ready meals were budget staples. You bought them for easy weeknight dinners, when shifts left you too exhausted to cook properly. You served them with garlic bread and pretended you'd cooked Italian. The kids ate them without complaint. Partners accepted them. Life continued in the comfortable delusion that frozen ready meals were close enough to real food. 2013. Testing revealed 60 to 100% horsemeat in products labelled beef. Some lasagnes were entirely horse. Not contamination, systematic substitution. Working-class families buying budget products got the longest, most opaque supply chains and highest health risks. Middle-class consumers bought fresh, traceable, premium products while we got horse. The Findus brand never recovered in Britain. Products pulled, brand destroyed. The gap filled by other manufacturers making the same products with allegedly better traceability. Allegedly. What we lost wasn't just ready meals. We lost whatever remained of the belief that food manufacturers considered working-class consumers as anything other than cost centres to be optimised, that our health mattered, that someone, somewhere, gave a damn what we were actually eating. Speaking of optimisation, number 3 became the symbol of everything wrong. Number 3. Vesta curry with bullet peas. The exotic adventure. Back to Vesta, but the beef curry deserves its own entry because of those bullet peas. Freeze-dried peas that looked like ball bearings, tasted like cardboard, never properly rehydrated no matter how long you waited. 16 pence in 1969. Bird's Company. The curry came with rice, sultanas, curry powder that turned water into something approximating sauce, and those infamous bullet peas. £3.6 million at peak sales. Million. In 1970s, money. You added boiling water to everything separately. The rice expanded. The sauce powder dissolved into brown liquid. the sultanas plumped up. The peas remained bullets. You served it anyway because this was exotic cuisine, and you'd paid 16 pence for foreign sophistication. The peas became legendary. People collected them, complained about them, made jokes about them, ate around them, but everyone remembers them. The bullet peas were more famous than the curry. Today, Vesta beef curry is one of only 2 surviving flavours, sold online for 2 to 3 quid, bought exclusively by people who want to taste disappointment again and confirm their memories were accurate. What we lost wasn't just dehydrated curry with inedible peas. We lost food that treated aspiration as purchasable for the price of a bus fare, that said working families deserved adventure, even if that adventure came in cardboard boxes and tasted of lies and powder. But while Vesta peas were harmlessly absurd, number 2 was delicious betrayal. Number 2, Bernard Matthews, Golden Drummers, the Beautiful Deception. Those drumstick-shaped pieces of processed turkey meat in golden breadcrumbs, shaped like chicken legs, but made from reformed turkey. The 1980s TV adverts with Bernard Matthews himself, declaring his products beautiful in his Norfolk accent. Launched in the 1980s as part of Bernard Matthews' expansion into convenience turkey products. No exact historical prices preserved, but positioned as affordable family food. Turkey breast roast, Golden Drummers, and Mini Kievs, all launched in this era of food convenience when households became ever busier. You cooked them from frozen. The coating went crispy. The inside was turkey adjacent. Kids loved them because they looked like chicken but weren't. You served them with chips and beans. Easy tea when mum was working late. Bernard Matthews made turkey an all-year-round meat for British households. The "beautiful" catchphrase became part of the national vocabulary. The products were in nearly half of British homes at peak popularity. That's staggering market penetration for reformed poultry. Today, Golden Drummers are still sold, around $2 to $2.50 for 350 grams. The current versions allegedly have higher turkey content, 67% turkey, after years of health concerns about processed meat products. Bernard Matthews himself passed away in 2010, but the brand continues under new ownership. What we lost wasn't just convenient turkey. We lost the era when food could be openly processed, reformed, shaped into lies, and we'd accept it without question because it was cheap, convenient, and feeding children after double shifts was more important than hand-wringing about authenticity. But Golden Drummers were at least honest lies. Number 1, that was emotional warfare. Number 1, Turkey Twizzlers. When convenience became accusation. Those spiral-shaped turkey pieces in bright orange coating, the texture that was simultaneously crispy and soggy. Mechanically recovered turkey meat, just 34% turkey, formed into spirals that made school dinners fun. Peak popularity 1990s through 2000s. Specific prices lost to time, but positioned as budget convenience food. School dinner staples across Britain. Kids loved them, parents bought them for home. Working mothers could serve them in minutes after finishing their second shift. You ate them with chips and beans, dipped them in ketchup. The spiral shape made them entertaining. That was the point. Food could be fun. Convenience could coexist with joy. Mothers working 2 jobs could still put smiles on faces. Then, 2005, Jamie Oliver's school dinners campaign, Turkey Twizzlers, became the symbol of working-class dietary failure. Just 34% turkey meat in a product called turkey. The other 66% was mechanically recovered meat, fat, and additives. Banned from schools. Parents who'd been feeding them to children were shamed on television. Oliver was spat at in the street by mothers who were done being judged. The product vanished. Returned August 2020 with 70% turkey meat, more than double the original, but never approved for schools again. The original Turkey Twizzler died in 2005, murdered by middle-class food reformers who never had to work 2 shifts, then faced judgment for feeding children quickly. What we lost wasn't just spiral turkey. We lost the last moment before working-class food choices became moral judgments, before convenience became accusation, before mothers working 2 jobs were told they weren't good enough. We lost the right to feed our children quickly without shame, to prioritize survival over perfection, to exist in a system that demanded our labor without providing support and then blamed us for adapting. They took Turkey Twizzlers and turned them into everything wrong with working-class Britain. Never mind that these meals existed because Britain's economic transformation required women's labour without building childcare infrastructure, without shortening work hours, without shifting domestic labour expectations. Never mind that frozen convenience food was the private solution to a public problem no one wanted to name. They judged us for surviving, and when we spat back, they called us aggressive. That's what we lost. The right to exist without apology in a system designed to exploit us, then blame us for the exploitation. So that's 20 cheap British meals that fed families for under £1. But I know I've missed your favourite. Because these meals weren't just food, they were infrastructure for working-class family life. The frozen fish finger wasn't failure. It was a mother working 2 shifts, making sure her children ate. The Turkey Twizzler wasn't laziness. It was survival in a system that demanded our labour without providing support. When you share your story in the comments, you're preserving a piece of British cultural history that exists nowhere else. You're validating that these meals were good enough, that we were good enough. Which of these takes you straight back to childhood? Share this with someone who remembers when 25 pence bought dinner and dignity. And if you want more nostalgia, hit subscribe and be sure to check out some of our other content. And until next time, take care.